Welcome, Brick World family. I'm one of your normal hosts, E. Cerberus, here on the Brick World channel, where we come at you live every Sunday on Think Outside the Blocks, our weekly live stream where Brick World owner Mark Larson and I talk about all things LEGO creativity, including our own builds and the LEGO news. But today we're coming at you with something a little different, and that's because I've been bitten by the LEGO Fortnite bug, and I've spent a lot of time trying to move resources from one biome to another. I've come up with my best solution, which is to build an airship that can transfer a large amount of resources in between the various locations. As you can see here, I have four large, actually I think they're epic sized chests in the middle of my airship here. And then I have thrusters attached independently to these little push bars so that I can fly my ship in every direction. You just saw there one of the issues with building an airship right now in the current version of LEGO Fortnite. Sometimes the physics are just very strange. And for example, as you saw there, these push bars just came flying out while the ship was in motion. You'll notice that now that it has stopped, all of the push bars have gone back to their regular locations, and I can now use them independently to travel in a different direction without the game glitching. But again, once I start moving, some of the other push bars may glitch out into a weird location. Normally, they get corrected if you just wait. If the engines stop moving, and so the airship stops moving, they usually end up resetting to the right location. You can find other YouTube videos about how to make a simple airship, but for me, I wanted to build something a little more complicated that was capable of transferring large amounts of things, such as all of the bright core that you see here, from one biome like the desert to another like the Frostlands. So in order to transport all this stuff, I had to come up with a system to have a whole bunch of chests, these large chests like this, able to be moved from one biome to another. There's a pretty simple way to make a hot air balloon featuring a single platform, or maybe even a few balloons, where you just add weight to one side or the other to make the platform turn. I, on the other hand, went a little crazy here by creating four sets of thrusters that are independently controllable via these switches to move around the lands. That also necessitated that I build some sort of landing pad for my airship in the various biomes where I like to gather resources. And the reason that I did this is because if you park an airship on the ground with a bunch of chests in it with some material that you want to transport from one biome to the next, you could run into trouble if your airship gets destroyed by a mob. Usually it ends up being a brute. Or if you park too close to the shore, it's possible that your airship could end up sinking into the ocean and you could lose everything inside the chests. So what I do, let's say I'm going to build a dynamic base. And then on top of my dynamic base, I would put a foundation. 16 by 16, I'll cover the whole thing. And then I'll add a couple of half walls, the by 16 type, or the 2 by 16 type. So here we are, there's one half wall, and here's the other. I like to add something down here to the cargo area. You can put pretty much whatever you want. I like to put a workbench down here, but you could put your bed down here, or a couple of chests, or whatever you want. Next thing we're going to build up is some additional foundation work. I'm going to put another 16 by 16 up on top of this entire thing, but instead of just one, we're going to spread it out a little. So I'm going to move this over 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then back 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And from there, we'll add 4 more to form a large square. 32 by 32, which is your standard LEGO base plate. And we'll also add a couple of extensions right off the middle of each of these. And I just like to build these to add a little more support and thickness where I put the rocket boosters, hopefully to keep them from falling off the ship when they have those odd glitches. So here we go. We're trying to line this up right in the middle. I'm using the foundation, the lines on the foundation underneath as sort of guides as to where this should be going. Perfect. So now we have those in the center. We are going to add something so we can climb up and finish our work. Main thing I'm going to build when I'm up here is right in the middle. I'm going to put a 16 by 16 floor. I'm going to place this on the edge where I know it's on the edge. Here we can even look at it from here. And then I want to go 8 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 8 over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That should be right in the middle. From there, I can add additional flooring to create a nice pattern on all 4 sides. So let's do that quick. Now on my ship, what I like to add are chests here in the middle, as well as I like to build, as you can see on this one, a structure here in the middle using the castle corners to build a place where I can put my balloons on top right in the middle to help us lift off. And we'll add what we were just talking about there, sort of a little center spine where we can add balloons later. So I grab the castle corner, same thing, let's get this centered. That should be the right place. And then we'll do the same thing over here now that we have one lined up. 2, 3, 4. Those are right in the middle. Right in the middle, we're going to build this structure here, and then we're going to throw a 12 by 12 floor on top of this. And the 12 by 12 floor will be the basis for where we build our balloons. Okay, now that we've got our floor and our center spine, we can add the boosters. On one side, like this one over here where I put my bed, I don't need to build any sort of independent thruster core builds because it's just not necessary. That one can trigger independently, and it can be one safe place for me to place my bed and everything else. So what I'm going to add is a couple of half 16 walls here. Okay, so I use the floor with the pattern, and part of the reason that I do that is because the pattern allows me to mark locations when I'm building on my airship. So for example, here, I can tell exactly when I'm in the middle based on whether or not I'm even on each side of the pattern. So there we're going to add a couple of 2 by 16 half walls, and then we'll throw some stairs on as well. So here we are with our stairs, and then we could put a bed up here on the top. So let's do that. We'll grab a bit of furniture and a bed, and we'll throw it up here. I like to add a fancy railing behind my bed, totally not necessary. We'll also add a switch to control the first 2 rocket boosters that we're going to throw on the back here. I'm going to put my first 2 thrusters here on the back of the ship. So we got our first 2 thrusters on the back of the ship. Fell off, but no big deal. We can just come back up on the landing pad here. And now that we have that, we can build some of our independent thrust builds. So the first thing I'm going to grab to build an independent thruster is a piece of flooring. I like to use 12 by 12 patterned floor. You can use whatever you like here, but I like this because it's easier, as I mentioned before, to see that I'm lined up appropriately. So using the pattern on the base level of the floor, I can see that I am appropriately lined up in the middle on the floor below here. So we're going to add a thrust pod section on each one. next we're going to need some fences. The fence that I find that I like to use is the Castle Railing 2, that's 8 long. We're going to put a couple of these in the middle. Again, we're going to use the pattern on the floor to tell where the middle is. So we'll put one on each side of the middle and then one on each edge. Last but not least, we're going to need a railing in the front to catch our thrusters when they're pushing forward. And so here we are with a little thrust pod railing there as well. Now I'm going to put the ram thrusters in themselves. First, I'm going to start with a log pillar right in front of the castle railings. And next I'm going to put in a pillar, a bi-16 pillar right on the center of this guy. How I make sure I'm in the center is I go all the way to the edge and then I count over 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That should be right in the middle. And then we've got to add a couple of these shorter ones, the by 12s to the ends. And now, much like the middle pillar, we're going to count these over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 after we're lined up with the edge on each side. I think we're even with the edge now. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we have it. We've got our ram thruster built. And now we will break the support pillar in between. And our ram thruster is landed inside our little holding cage here. We can make sure it doesn't go out the top very easily by placing a piece of flooring over the top of it here. I'm going to use the regular castle flooring. And now if I add a switch to the corner and some thrusters on the back, we will have an independent thrust pod. Okay, here we go. So thrusters. So we'll add some thrusters, some big boys to move faster onto the bottom. And then we'll do the same thing on the other sides. And now we're going to go test each rocket while we're still stationary to make sure that each one's working independently. Thrust on that one, didn't get any of the other ones to activate. Same with that one. Same over here. And last but not least, same over here. Now I'm ready to add my chest to the center column of the airship so that I have a place to take all of the resources that I harvest from the caves. Currently, I only have the small chest planks. You can see I already have the larger epic style chests on my other airship. But for purposes of this build, whichever size chest you can afford or can use, go ahead and place down in the center here. Put on as many as you'd like or as many as you need. I like to use the one here in the back, closest to my bed, to house any supplies that I need to fly the airship. So that usually means silk, cord, wooden rods for thrusters, blast powder, and torches. I'm also now going to have to build a central column here in the middle. I'm going to build it out of wood to support the final balloon that I like to put in the middle to get me some good lift here. Now that I have the basic airship function built, we're going to pile on the balloons. So from our chest, we're going to grab what we need for balloons, and we're going to pile some up on here. First things first, I'm going to put a balloon right at the very top of this 5 tall column. There we go. And I'm going to put one on each corner here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that might be enough to get us some lift. We're stuck on the ground now because I have these stairs built. But if I punch these stairs out, looks like we don't quite have enough for lift yet. So we're going to add a couple more balloons, one to each side on top of my blast pods. So we'll put one here, and then we'll put one over here. You can see I'm starting to lift off the ground now. as we're not sitting flat anymore. So there we go. We've lifted off. And now we're going to take a little journey on our newly built pod out to a resource harvesting area. My resource harvesting area is over by the coast in the desert here. You can see I don't have great height in my balloons right now. I might run into some things if I don't add a little height. And of course, if I'm going to add a little bit of height, to do that, I need to add some more balloons. So as you saw in my other build, I like to, I'm going to have to get away from my castle because I have a high complexity build area. I like to add some of these little balloons to the center column just to give us a little tiny bit more lift. Of course, the heavier your balloon, the more stuff you put on it, the more balloons you'll need to achieve lift. And since this airship is pretty heavy, but at least it's intended to be permanent, I don't feel like I'm wasting balloons by adding a fair number here. All right, so let's head out to my secondary resource area. See, there it is, my landing platform. So we're going to come in for a landing. We'll maneuver us in each direction. Seems like when I have the dynamic base on here, it doesn't do any of the super goofy stuff. All right, let's see where we are in terms of the landing platform. Not quite over it. Looks like we need to do a little bit of thrust this direction. Maybe a little more. And then a little bit of thrust this direction, maybe? No, not even really. We're pretty much right over it now. Okay. Now to land, we're going to add some mooring blocks to the corners. The other solution you could do here is actually physically pop some of the balloons. Ever since the latest update, 28.10, as of the time of filming, when you pop a balloon, it gives you the resources back. The one issue with that is if the airship is moving, then the balloons resources tend to go flying off, and you can't get them back as easily. So you can see that we're slowly sinking here towards the landing pad. Looks like we've got a pretty good trajectory. Because I'm moving nice and slowly now, I can break the balloons on the sides and still get the resources back. See, I kind of had to chase them down a little bit. You can see we're going down a little faster now there. I think we've made some contact with the ground. As is typical, the dynamic base broke off. That's happened basically every time I've tried to land one of these balloons. And when the dynamic base breaks off, it tends to try to go back up in the air a little bit. But the other thing that always seems to happen when I land, a little bit of damage to my landing pad and to the bottom of my ship. So I can replace the wall, as always. Now that I've landed, the first thing I do whenever I land is I like to add a set of stairs to go back in and out and sort of keep the ship grounded. So there you have it. We built a big airship to transfer a large amount of resources from one biome to another. As I said, even in the current version, which right now is 28.10 of LEGO Fortnite, air travel can be a bit unstable, so make sure you're landing your balloon in a safe location if you're trying to do this so you don't lose any of those precious resources. If you liked what you saw here, make sure you click the like and subscribe button. It really helps us out as we grow the channel. And of course, you can catch Mark and I on Sunday on Think Outside the Blocks, where we'll talk about LEGO creativity and the LEGO news. Until then, catch me at Brick World.